AMC here. Got a new idea for a video. So, guys at work tasked me with a little destructive surgery, do some destructive testing on a boiler. So let's open up the trunk of my really manly man bun wearing BMW and see what we got tucked inside here. So this is the carcass of a Viessmann. There we go. Got the name upside down. Viessmann. Anyway, gonna open it up, cut up the heat exchanger, and get an idea of why this unit was not heating the water like it should have. Actually, this stuff had glycol in it. So we'll do a little testing on it and chop it open and document some of that. So stay tuned. Hey, and here we are inside the somewhat muddy garden shed, as it's been raining the last couple of days, and I have yet to finish taking the sod out of the last third. So we still have some nice lawn growing inside of here, and been working, so I still have the lumber to get out of here, that bench to tear apart. But for now, since I have a new project, we unloaded the Viessmann boiler out of the back of the BMW. We've got it on this skid loader. I see a data 2013 written on the side here, and we're going to do an autopsy on this thing, tear it apart. And my coworkers tasked me with destructive surgery on this heat exchanger because we want some sections of this stainless steel titanium blend to use for displays to show the differences in wall thickness and construction versus your typical condensing boiler setup. So I'm going to start pipe wrench, take the in and the out fittings off, start breaking all the cabinet down, disassemble this thing all the way down to the heat exchanger. There's a combustion fan down here. We're looking at the boiler kind of upside down and backwards now. So this little metal pan will come off. There's a combustion fan inside. Combustion fan then is attached to a negative pressure gas valve that draws gas through the gas valve, gets pushed into the fan, does primary air mixing and fuel mixing, pushes it up through this duct, and then there is a burner on the back side of this. This front cover is aluminum. This piece, I believe, is, I think that's the stainless steel also. And our supply water leaves up here on this point. But I'll get this thing out of the bucket. I'm going to leave it here for now because that'll give me good leverage for getting these pipes broke apart. Then we'll toss it up on the table. If I don't have kitty cats wandering around, we'll grab the cutoff wheel and start carving on this thing. All right, here is the boiler laid sideways. Got the pipes mostly disconnected from the bottom. Wiring harness is all pulled out. Typically in this area, you're going to have the electrical sections. And again, we have a helpful cat. So these cats are just as helpful as all of your representatives in government. They get in your way. They want your business. They want your affection, but in the end, kind of worthless. Try to be fun, but you're not helping. No, you're not helping. Why don't you go find some mice? Go away. Wow, 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 wow. So with this one, sit up there. We just have some bits, some screws here to take out of the heat exchanger front to get the combustion assembly apart. And these are just a star drive. this was a boiler that was replaced because it was not keeping up with capacity. So kind of curious to see what we find when we open it up. Kitty, sit up here, sit, stay. So if you thought Erica from CRS had some annoying cats, I bet this one will beat the annoyance of hers. Come on, really? You know, you're not helping. You're right in the way. Nobody can see what's going on. Sit, sit, sit. Yeah, stay put. There you go. Just stay up there. Look cute. Pretend everybody loves you. No. Stay here. Not sure if this is a boiler how-to video or a cat video. Maybe it's a combination of them both. So now I believe we have all of the bolts out. The harnesses are loose. We've got the gas disconnected. What? Now, give this a bump. Usually they're laying in another orientation. There it goes. What? And so here is the inside of the combustion chamber, or the burner assembly anyway. First look, it looks like we're missing a little refractory in a couple of spots. The burner itself, these signs you can see here, this is going to be the bottom of that burner. You get this with excessive condensation. So this boiler has definitely been abused, hasn't been well taken care of. Set this off to the side. Gas valve. This is the venturi, the air intake for the primary air. Get the camera off the stand. So venturi, primary air, gas valve. It's a negative pressure valve. When the vent motor starts up, it'll slurp the gas in at the firing rate that it needs, mix the primary air with the fuel. Up the air fuel duct comes in on the back side of the burner. And again, this is how corroded that burner was. On the inside, it's actually not too horrible. This would be the bottom of the heat exchanger. You can see a bunch of oxidation up in here. But somebody at least has cleaned it. I've seen a lot worse. Usually you get a lot of this black, carbony looking material built up inside of there. But of course, this boiler's been bounced around loading docks, I don't know how many times. Let's pull the back refractory off and throw this back in the camera stand so I can juggle with both hands. I had a contractor calling me earlier today trying to replace this item. Said that he couldn't get it and thought we needed to pull the heat exchanger to get it out. I think in afterthought now, all he really needed to do was just pull the burner off. Then he doesn't have to get into the water side at all. There's a union on the bottom half and a union on the top half. Yeah, you bust those apart and it should come right open. All right, back at it. Get this back refractory out of here. Kitty cat's back to help. Oh. the back target wall. Again, this is kind of a telltale signs that we've had a plug condensate drain, or that we've been holding water in that bottom of the heat exchanger, and that's going to cause the combustion to be off. It's a pretty thick piece of refractory. And of course, Viessmann throws their little V logo in there just because they can. Kitty back up there. And again, this little tank in the back is where the water comes into the boiler at. It's just a separation tank, so if there's any air molecules floating around, it's going to get trapped in there first. Let's get the air vent off. Kitty, you're not much help. Why are you hitting me? Why are you hitting me? You're being a little pain. And so we still have some glycol left in here. So we're proceeding to dump that all over the place. Little auto float. These things are just a needle seat and a air vent. So you can pop these apart and service them. Really doesn't look too bad on the water side. You can smell the antifreeze, most likely propylene glycol. As this drops down, the float's going to open up a little valve here, allow air to escape. As the water level comes back up, the linkage then closes off the valve, sealing the water in. Then there's a little slot that this float guides in, or rides in, just to keep everything straight. Drops back in, rattle it, make sure that the linkage isn't bound, and that is your float maintenance. Again, this is all garbage, so yeah, we're just doing a little destructive testing. This part is the flow switch. So there's a little paddle in here. As the water is flowing through the boiler, this paddle will flip, close the contacts, and prove the safeties that you actually have flow before you fire the boiler. Pretty important. Hard telling in the glare and the horrible light out here in the garden shed what the BTUs are. It's at least 80,000 BTUs. And with a small heat exchanger, you don't want to fire the burner with no water flow. So taking this thing apart, actually let's break this union loose back here first. Normally these things are hung on a wall, so you can't get around to this back side, but since I'm conveniently located on a bench and I have a helper cat, I might as well take this apart the easier way. Normally you'd be reaching through on the front side with your wrenches. Take this union loose. There is we can see it when I pull it out, there's just a green material gasket inside of there. There's a compression ring or a ferrule on here, So this piece just slides down slightly. We'll tilt forward, wiggle around the rubber gasket. Here is our other seal on the bottom. And again, this is just a welded steel container to work as an air separating chamber. Pretty basic. New models, I don't think they're incorporating these anymore. Set that off to the side. Heat exchanger. Last piece we have up here is the leaving water side. Don't drink that, dummy. It's non-toxic, so the cat's not going to die. If it were ethylene glycol, that'd be a little different story, but this one is propylene glycol, so it's definitely kid and pet safe, so no actual cats were harmed during the filming of this video. Not yet, anyway. We'll see if she gets in the way when I fire up the grinder and start cutting this heat exchanger apart. And again, this part isn't anything you normally would do on your typical maintenance. And most of these are just held in place with rubber O-rings. So expansion and contraction, it seems to take that pretty well. Got another half union on that side for that flange. And then these heat exchangers are just held up in there. There's some bolts, and then there's some nuts. You take those 4 out, and the whole heat exchanger pulls out. Condensate drain. So this kind of gives us an idea of, where are we? What the combustion side of the heat exchanger look like on the bottom, the drain side. This is the combustion side. On the burner side, horrible focus. There we go. Year built, 2013. One of the Viessmanns. The model and serial numbers on the door. I don't have the door. That thing got pitched. Like I said, this was returned to the supply house for replacement, warranty replacement. So again, a Viessmann. And this is a 316 titanium. So it's a 316 stainless steel titanium. So 316 SSTI. So I've got an idea on this, and I think this piece is going to be welded in. We've got this actually feels like aluminum on the outside here. Yeah, that's just aluminum there. But then this inner is stainless steel. That back plate is stainless steel. Here is the top of the heat exchanger. This is the combustion outlet side. And then there's just little passages in between each one of these tubes that the cat wants to model. Well, you got mange. She's got her winter coat trying to come off, so I'm sure she's got like cat dandruff and all sorts of other funk happening. That's probably why she wants the attention, is I'm sure her neck is itching the life out of her. But we don't see any scabs or scarring, so at least she's stopping herself before she rips the skin open. Yeah, okay, I screwed up. I pet you, right? Now that's what you want, is just play with me. Anyways, I think we'll stop the video at this point, just because now the cat is going to want a lot of attention. And next up, we got a gun channel. Let's take that heat exchanger out. Let's put some bullets in it. See how 316 stainless steel titanium holds up against, perhaps a 338 in the 1-in-3 twist in the 8.6 blackout. And I've also got a 308 Winchester we can poke at that with. So stay tuned. And now that we got the carcass cut off from the heat exchanger, this is our heat exchanger. Again, our Viessmann, here's the national board number. Valve capacity 205 pounds an hour. And our serial number. So this one was a 2013 model. It looks to me like we just have a aluminum casting. There is a stainless steel piece sticking here, so that's going to be one end of the heat exchanger coil. This appears to be formed and rolled over to hold the outer combustion skin around the inside water jacket. So this piece, I'm assuming what they did is they probably roll formed one side of this this assembly. They most likely set the stainless steel coil down into place on the bottom aluminum because this piece, if I rotate it around, has got an aluminum piece in the back, and then these were drilled and tapped. So that's all. It looks like yeah, extruded aluminum that's not machined. So at least cast, or maybe aluminum cast. So I'm thinking I can just, here's the seam where they welded this outer barrel together. I think I can probably just take the cutoff wheel, zip this thing in half. Maybe I'll cut it twice so I don't have to unwrap it. A couple of other little indents here. But otherwise, here is my inlet to the boiler. The inside doesn't look too bad. We were thinking that might have scale or corrosion on it, but that looks pretty darn clean. So my bet is any heating deficiencies that they had with this thing might have been due to the glycol level. You know, either the BTUs were not calculated for this appliance having glycol in it. So that is a consideration for anybody that wants to build, say, a garden shed like this one with a nice muddy floor, is if you're going to add antifreeze to your system. Why isn't this focusing? Let me pause it and clean the lens. Probably this snotty cat put her face on it. Yeah, that's a little better. I think there was a cat nose print on it. So anyway, if you were to try to do in-floor heat in a space like this, this is about 1,800 square feet. If you don't do your load calculations, allowing for your reduction in capacity with antifreeze, you are going to be upset that your boiler is undersized and does not heat your little hobby shop. So keep that in mind and consult your HVAC professionals when you are doing design build stuff. It saves you a bunch of headache in the back end by working with guys that know what they're doing on the front end. So again, we're running out of light. It's about the end of the day, April 3rd, I believe it is yet. So we'll cut this thing open, see what things look like. I'd shoot it just like this, but I have an idea that this cast aluminum is going to fragment, and then I'm going to have that crap all over my yard. So I'm going to take it apart and then put some bullets in the heat exchanger. So here we go, first look. Made a relief cut on this. Let's pry this thing apart. See what's on the inside. Go. Hey, look at that. There's actually quite a bit inside of there. So the competitor's heat exchanger is only about as thick as the handle on this channel lock. But this one is considerably thicker. And as you can see, this aluminum that is on the combustion side, so our water is not really coming into contact with that. Our condensate drain is going to focus and come out the bottom here. Our vent is up in the top, so our combustion products are going to exit there. The front is where our air fuel mixture shoves in here with a 360-degree radius burner. That's going to give a great heat exchanger exposure to the radiant heat and the heat from convection. The conduction is going to happen from the condensation that is running down the inside of this heat exchanger. That's what makes a 90% efficient boiler or appliance get that 90%. And so I'll finish cutting this thing apart and add more to the videos. Hey, look at that. Got my hands dirty again. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe to see the rest of these videos.